What's good YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Last in Conditioning. So you want to deadlift for 5. Here are 5 tips that will help you to get to your full plate deadlift. The very first one is lower your volume. This may seem counterintuitive, but a lot of people, and a mistake I've seen is that you're trying to do way too many sets on the deadlift. The deadlift is a very fatiguing exercise because out of all exercises that we can do, the deadlift, when performed correctly, is the one where you can move the most weight. So when you can move the most weight, it's going to be the most fatiguing, which also means you probably shouldn't do 5, 6, 7 sets that I've seen some people do. 2 or 3 sets on deadlift can be actually more than enough for most people, unless you're trying to do a lot of sets where you do really lightweight just to practice your technique. That's a different ball game. But in terms of your working sets, 2 to 3 sets, 1 or 2 times per week, that will actually be enough. Tip number 2, you need to train it more often. The more often you can get good fresh touches on a movement, the quicker you're going to adapt to the movement and the quicker you're going to be able to add load to it because your body simply responds to the training. So if you're only doing once a week right now with high volume, split that in half and do it 2 times per week. And yes, I know it can be very fatiguing, but if you want to get your deadlift up, this is a way you can do it, and it's probably one of the best ways you can do it. If you have 4 sets 1 day a week, split it up to 2 sets in 2 different days, and then you'll have fresh touches on both of those days, and you will experience that you'll be able to lift more weight. Tip number 3, do deficit deadlift. This is a variation where you'll be able to use less weight, but that's not a problem because you put yourself in a disadvantaged position because you're increasing the range of motion. The way you can do this, you can stand on some plates or a box, or you can widen out your grip so you get to a snatch grip instead of being more narrow like you would be accustomed to doing. This will train your deadlift in a different way, and potentially if you suck off the bottom from the floor, this will address that problem because you're going to spend more time in that position where you struggle. So this is a very good fix that you can use so you can actually get stronger, because while you may have the strength in terms of locking out a higher weight, if you can't move it off the floor, it doesn't matter how good your lockout strength is. Tip number 4, do rack pulls. You can either do this from a rack if your gym has the ability to do so, or you can put it on some boxes, or if it's not super busy, you can take some plates so you can load under the barbell so it will get up higher. Just don't smash the bar down onto the other plate so you potentially bend the plates on the floor. This is a way where you can train your lockout strength. People will struggle off either off the floor or struggle off the top. This is very difficult to address for some people, so this is one of the ways that you can do it. Some people don't want to train their lockout, but if you're very good off the floor, but the moment the bar gets past your knees, that's when you can't really lock it out. You may have the strength to do a higher weight, at least off the floor, but you don't have the strength to lock it out, so you need to train your lockout strength. Tip number 5, you need to breathe and brace correctly. When we're talking breathing, all breathing on the deadlift happens from the floor. You don't want to breathe in and out while you're moving the bar because it will cause you to lose tension in your abdominals, which will ultimately make you fold over, or even worse, that could potentially, because of the lack of tension, can actually cause more strain on your spine, which could cause injury. We don't want that to happen. So when you grab the bar at the bottom, before you start pulling up, you need to make sure you breathe in air and expand your belly to create abdominal pressure so you have stable abs so you can actually pull up. We don't want any sort of like flexion up and down. Some spinal flexion is fine as long as the spinal flexion doesn't get progressively worse as the rep goes on or as you perform more and more reps. So we want to have our abs extremely tight from the bottom when we pull up, and then when you come down, you breathe out again. Thank you for watching. Last in Conditioning, signing out.